Welcome, everyone, to a new edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. It's year 2025. We hope everyone had a great holiday season. Happy to be joined by my main man, Al Prizzuti, here at the dais with so much to discuss, so much to catch up to. Al, first of all, Happy New Year's.
Same to you.
Had a
Same
great
to you.
holiday. It was a nice one for us, very peaceful. So
Yeah, quiet, but we stopped going out years ago. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. We go out at 6:30, we're home by 9:30. We could be in bed by 10.
Oh, God. So you got to see the ball drop on New Year's.
We did.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Al, so much that has taken place here in the world of sports with the New England Patriots completing a 4-13 campaign and Robert Kraft deciding the Gerard Mayo experiment is over. And now it's unbelievable because they had an opportunity to secure the number one pick in the NFL draft. They fell to 4 with a meaningless win over the Buffalo Bills, because as it turns out, whether he won or lost, it wasn't going to change the outcome of Gerard Mayo's fate in New England.
Yeah, but they should have lost the game. Look at Buffalo went into that.
Fully intending
Couldn't go to number 1, couldn't go down to 3, they were a 2.
Yeah.
And they played the game thinking that nobody was going to get hurt here, it doesn't matter. The Patriots went into it with the chance to get the number 1 pick, which whether they wanted to take the Heisman Trophy winner or not,
Right.
they could have traded that off, got a first next year and 2, maybe a 3, depending
They
on.
could have bolstered
They
their
could have
draft.
done
Yeah.
a lot of things with it. Instead, they get number 4.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that to me is a
but Al,
stupid thing.
it's kind of problematic now with pending litigation against the NFL based upon that premise that you got to lose this game, because Brian Flores, the guy who brought that suit against the NFL when he was with the Dolphins, claimed that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, instructed him to lose the tank.
Yeah.
And that was the premise. Well, that was pretty much what greased his skids in Miami and sent him packing. But it's
So then you go after Buffalo because the Patriots started May and then put in
Joe Milton. Right.
And he's trying to prove himself, and he did.
Yeah.
So Jacoby Brissett is gone.
Right.
Because they don't need him. But you're playing against a team that's saying, hey, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, that there's an issue there this reminds me of steroids. If the batters are using it, why can't the pitchers use it? So if
It
the
could be an
Buffalo
argument.
doesn't want to play and the Patriots want to play, that's unfair.
Right.
But it happened.
Yeah.
And I think the Patriots had more to lose by winning than Buffalo had, obviously.
Well, as it turns out, so did Gerard Mayo, because he wound up losing his job.
Well, Kraft.
Of
Kraft said
did
at least
him
he
a
was honest
disservice.
about it. He said, I put him in a position, he said,
was
an
untenable.
untenable position where he couldn't make it. The guy never had any experience and with a team that had no experience.
Well, what he did to him was not give him a team, not give him components to at least compete, or at least to grow into the job.
Yeah, well.
And people come out and say, well, why couldn't they have been as patient with Gerard Mayo as, say, for example, the Detroit Lions were patient with Dan Campbell when he was going, winning 1 game and weeping at the podium for the pain that he felt for his players that were losing game after game after game after game. But they had a vision, and they had a front office structure, Al. They knew what they were going to do in free agency. They knew what they were going to do with the
That's
draft.
the problem with
They
the
knew how to
Patriots.
build that team from the ground up in terms of getting offensive line. Al, I'll tell you what, you look at the playoffs, which start this weekend, I think the teams that are going to wind up at the end are the teams that I had picked last year. Remember, I picked the Lions and the Ravens to be in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it all the way to their respective conference championships.
Mm-hmm.
And it wound up being the 49ers and
Kansas City.
yeah.
I think it'll be Kansas City and Buffalo. I mean,
Either way, it's going to be a great Super Bowl. you know?
well, yeah. I look at it though. If you're looking at what the Patriots
Yeah.
scenario here. I mean, they're going to go out. They look at. I like the kid from Detroit as a
Ben
coach,
Johnson, yes.
Johnson.
Yeah.
I think because he's an offensive guy.
And that's what
Basically,
Drake May needs that.
Well,
Drake May
yeah. I
needs
mean,
that.
I think this is what this team needs. I mean, remember, 2 years ago, 4-13 under Belichick his last year, but the defense was solid.
Yeah.
What happened to the defense with, what's his name, Covington?
DeMarcus
Covington, and he's now looking someplace else.
Right.
I don't know, but the defense failed, the offense failed. So you've got a lot of problems there. So I think they're going to go with, I don't think they'll go with Johnson. I think they'll go with.
Well, I think both Johnson and Vrabel
I think
are
Vrabel's
scheduled for interviews now. The
today.
Patriots have already talked to
Yeah, I
both
know, Flores.
Byron Leftwich and
I think-
with Pep Hamilton, both offensive coordinators who haven't been out of the league.
Yeah.
The thing is that now there could be a monkey wrench in the works with the Vegas Raiders firing their coach yesterday.
Yeah.
Could have been a preemptive strike in order to go after Vrabel, who Tom Brady probably will have a lot of influence.
Well, he will, but I think Vrabel wants to be with the Patriots because that's where
Because he
he's
knows-
he's a Hall
he
of
knows-
Famer here.
But yeah, that's true. But here's the thing: are we reverting back to the Patriot way? You know, with Vrabel coming in.
I wouldn't want to coach this team because if I'm a head coach looking for a job, I want to go with the team that has a reasonably good chance of making the playoffs.
Where do you start there? You start with a quarterback, right?
But, and we've got, I think, the quarterback. We have the makings of a fairly decent team. We still have a fairly decent, I think, defense that just needs a couple of things. Okay, they need offense,
Right.
and they need receivers, and they need an offensive line. Those are the two things that are glaring mistakes for this
team.
team.
Do you go after the offensive line first?
Well, look, here's what I think is going to happen. Because they dropped to fourth, they're not going to do anything until the 1, 2, and 3 are picked.
Right.
And then they're going to look and see if there's either a offensive lineman there or a wide receiver. If it's not, they're going to drop down.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you this. Left tackles do not grow on trees,
Yeah.
and those guys have become more important now to the success of any quarterback's career.
Yeah.
And you know what? Right now, there's a great one in the making at the University of Texas, and I say this because not as an alum and a fan of my Longhorns, and we'll get to them later, but Kelvin Banks, that guy is unbelievable. He's going to be a long-time pro.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple other guys on that offensive line too. But that's the guy right now that's the superstar on that line. He's going to be a long-time pro. Everyone can see that. I'm wondering, do the people down in Foxborough see that too?
Well,
Are they just too enamored with the Ferraris, you know, and not looking at your John Deere tractors?
No, I think
you know?
I think that everybody knows that their offensive line was horrendous.
Yes.
So I think that there's a definite need. Now, if it's available, here's the problem. At 1, they could have done a lot of things. At 4, they can do less.
You probably got 2 offensive linemen and a receiver. Yeah.
Maybe. And I think if they get there and let's say the 2 and 3 take the 2 best offensive linemen receivers, they'll drop down further to get a pick next year. But they're going to be 5, 6, 7, and 10 next year at best.
But they also have proverbially $130 million in cap space, which enables them to go out and spend
We'll see.
in free agency. So you can't get cheap right now with your purse book, Patriots. You got to get out there. You got to go out, and you got to buy either a great receiver or really good offensive lineman, and then add to that in the draft.
Yeah.
Maybe pick up another guard, a tackle, maybe a tight end, another tight end. There's a couple of good ones in there. I like the kid from Texas, Gunnar Helm. I like the kid from Michigan. Loveland, who's a good
They
tight
got,
end.
they got a lot of
There's
questions.
there's a lot of questions to be had, but the thing is, there's a path forward now. I think.
Yeah, well, I think.
And I think if you go to Ben Johnson, and this is why I say the monkey wrench. Let's say, for example, Vrabel winds up in Las Vegas with Brady and the Raiders. Okay, it's not going to be the end of the world if the Patriots wind up getting Ben Johnson.
No, I think Ben Johnson is probably the better pick.
I think so too.
But the problem we got is if you look at what this team has, Ramondre Stevenson went from here to here.
There's a regression. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he couldn't gain the yards, but that he fumbled the ball so much.
Right.
So you don't know whether he's even going to be around. I mean, he could be a guy that they flip, which means that now do they have the running backs that are necessary? Balance is a key. If you only throw, you're in trouble. If you only run, you're in trouble in the NFL. You got to have some. And I'll tell you, Drake May can do both.
Both. Yeah. He can be Josh Allen.
So if you have that type of quarterback and you have versatile type players, running backs that can do the RPO, all that stuff, you're all right.
Yeah.
The problem with the Patriots is they don't have that.
All right.
So they got a lot of questions internally. I think a guy like Johnson, though, brings an offensive philosophy that will help the.
Well, the Lions right now, the number one offense in the league.
Well, they score.
And not only that, though, he comes from an organization where he's witnessed the organizational structure of how to build a team. And you know how the Lions did it? They did it through their offensive line. That offensive line is nasty.
Yeah.
They're athletic. They get this guy Penei Sewell. He can run out and line up as a Y, and they can throw. And they've done that. They've thrown passes to the guy.
When Kraft said that he put Mayo in an untenable position, didn't he do the same thing with the president, or what's his name, the guy who's in charge of drafts and all that stuff?
Elliot Wolf.
Wolf.
Right.
Didn't they do the same thing with him?
They still didn't really
And they're
give him
gonna
the
keep him
title.
there.
They didn't give him the title of general manager.
No.
Everyone thinks he's the general manager, but he's
So
not.
who's calling the shots there?
Precisely.
So that's
It's
what I'm
got to be
saying.
the next guy. And if Vrabel comes in, you know that Vrabel's going to be the
Vrabel
guy.
will have at least a say.
He's
in
gonna.
it.
Well, he's going to be.
Well, that's what Kraft said. I mean, they asked him about all these things, and he said, Van Pelt, this one there, the new coach is going to be the one who decides.
Correct.
And we know that Covington is gone. We know that Van
Pelt's
Pelt is gone.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think to put to bed the whole Patriot situation, this is three of the last 4 years where they're the worst team in the league. One of the worst teams in the league.
They're reverting back to the team that the Crafts used to watch when they were sitting in the stands.
And so
That's the whole issue.
there's a lot of questions here, and I don't think any of them are going to be answered next year. I think what people would want to see is a competitive team that's fighting for a chance to get in the playoffs.
I think
they weren't even close.
I think there's also an internal struggle within the Crafts. I mean, is it time now for Jonathan Kraft to take over for his father?
I think he is in a lot of ways, although the old man is the one that goes out and faces the
He's the
press.
face. He's the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
Yes,
But I think the kid is. I mean, just watching them in the booth, watching the games. Every time there's a bad play, they look like they're going to have cerebral.
Well, he
hemorrhage.
does. He does. And it was clear that was the case. But
Anyways.
but at any rate, and Al, to segue to your favorite subject, the Bruins.
Well, I was embarrassed to wear this today, but I will say this. This team has not played a game where you said they're better than the team that they're playing. All games that they've played, teams that are down below them in the standings, teams that are above them. Now, everybody was looking, I shouldn't say everybody, was looking forward to this game last night because you get to see Draisaitl and you get to see Connor McDavid and whatnot. And they almost beat Edmonton in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton won in overtime out there.
But this team outclassed the Bruins.
Well, as soon as the first goal was scored, I said it's over.
It's over.
Because they can't score. And why? If I could just sit down with Cam Neely and and the guy Sweeney, who I think
Don
is
Sweeney.
next,
Yeah.
and say, why don't you just bring Poitras, Lysell, and Merkelov up, because they can't do any worse than what we have out
and
there.
they'll cycle the puck.
Well, they can't do any worse.
Yeah.
And if you noticed last night toward the end, to try to get some activity action, Lorei was the guy who was actually playing, looked like he was playing forward.
Yes.
Why? Because he can skate and he can come out of the zone.
He
They've
moves the
made,
puck.
and this is Sweeney, I think it's Sweeney, Elias Lindholm,
He's non-existent.
for 6 more years, or whatever it is, I think it was 7
Non-existence,
years. And Zadorov is Zdeno Chara with another year when Zdeno Chara was old.
Right.
He gets beat. When he gets the puck, he goes behind the net. He goes this way instead of that way.
Right.
He's easily beaten on the outside.
He gives up the puck easily.
You know what? He might be physical, but he's been a major disappointment. Now, I know they don't have Hampus Lindholm, but I'll tell you, the 3 stars that have been a disappointment for me, and it's not Pasternak, because Paster tries.
Yeah.
Problem with Paster is he is what he was even when he was playing well. He tries to go through people and all that
right.
stuff. And he's a pretty good passer when he's got Pavel Zacha on the line.
Correct.
But Swayman can't make a big save to save his life.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, I'd put Korpisalo
Too
in there
many
every
cheesy
other
goals
game
he's
or
given
a
up.
couple of games to see if he can do it.
Yeah.
Lindholm, Zadorov, Charlie Coyle. I mean, I can go down the list. Last night, at least Trent Frederick got into that fight. He's
That was a beauty.
but
Al,
he's-
that was, you figured, okay, now he's going to, pump up his team, inject some enthusiasm. By the way, Trent Frederick clearly won that fight. I mean,
Oh, you bet.
unbelievable.
But here's the deal. On a breakaway, Pavel Zacha comes in, and what's he do? He shoots it right into the guy's pads. No goal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Draisaitl that hit Connor McDavid. Breakaway in, boom, up top, goal. That's a goal scorer. That's a great player. And when you get nobody on the Bruins can do that. Nobody, even
But you know what I
even
saw?
Pasta.
There was a lot of net front traffic, Bruins defensemen. They were like
On 2 of the goals, there
were
were
like
4
4 guys,
Bruins.
yes.
4 Bruins, 1 Oiler, and the Oilers scored the goal. You know what?
Why
if I
is
had
that-
to, I'd bring him down and take a penalty as I let the guy
yes,
shoot.
Al, yes, I would do that too. Why would you let that guy
It's
get a
too
puck?
frustrating to watch. I hate to say it, but I don't think they're
I'll
gonna
take a
make the
cross
playoffs.
check 2-minute instead of letting that guy go.
How can 4 Bruins be around, including the goalie, 5 black jerseys, and 1 Oiler, and he scores a goal? Why? Because he's on top. He's here, and they're here. They're dropping down, which
Yeah.
is a huge mistake.
I forget who their top defenseman is for the Oilers, but he took a cross check. Same thing. I think it was, it might have, I don't know who it was who was sitting in front, but he cross checked him. I think it was Geeky. He goes down, called a penalty. Their best defenseman goes off. Bruins go on the power play. And what happens? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They were without their top defenseman, probably one of their top penalty killers, and the Bruins couldn't manage a shot.
Well,
the puck got stapled to the boards.
Well, Marchand and Pasternak are the only 2 guys that
Who
are
are like-
trying to do.
Yeah.
But you look and you see Zacha, Coyle,
They're crashing the net.
Geeky.
Yeah.
I like the kid. What's his name that they got with the Ullman
Gastelik.
trade? I like him
Gastelik, yeah.
because he
He's
works.
Physical. He's physical.
I mean, he
And they
works.
extended him. They gave him a 3-year extension.
But the other guys are not. They're not. You don't even notice they're out there. I mean, I hate to say it, but I like Charlie Coyle because he
tries.
can skate. He tries hard, but A, he couldn't score in an open net,
Yeah.
and B,
He needs to get his scoring.
there can't be just 2 players out there that you have to key on because that's all they do with Pasta. They go down on power plays, which is horrendous. Just think about it.
He gets beat up a lot.
They have one of the worst power plays in the league. They got one of the worst penalty killing team in the league. They can't score, and their goaltending is he's 89, I think, .89, and they're in
To
trouble.
me, that's a recipe for disaster, Al.
They're in trouble.
And it all points to early vacation for them.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've lost 5 games in a row, so that's 10 points that they had a chance to get. They got 1 on the tie.
Yeah.
They got to play Florida Panthers on Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Well, aren't the
in
Florida Panthers a little bit down? Or
Oh,
Tampa?
come on.
Tampa's down.
Well,
you know.
what team is up on the Bruins? They're
You know,
all
that's
up on the
funny.
Bruins.
And it's like it's like any team going down to Miami to play the Heat. You know,
Yeah,
everyone
well,
gets caught up with the atmosphere and everything.
I was talking before the show.
and it's a mom's trip too for the Bruins.
I know. I was
I'd
talking
keep
to
Mom at home
the
on
show
this
with
one.
one of the guys, and I said to him, "You believe when you watch the Celtics that they're going to win.
Yes.
You believe that when you watch the Bruins, they're going to lose. You watch the Patriots, they're going to lose. You watch the Red Sox, and they're going to lose.
There's only
I mean,
one
there's
team.
only
that-
one team in
There's one team
town
right now that's giving us any hope.
that you think is going to win every game.
Yeah.
Even against the best teams, they fight.
Yes.
The
I like
Bruins-
that. I like that about them.
Well, yeah.
I like, but it, you know, and it's something that's, I say, it's within their culture. You know, that's their. I think they reflect their coach as well too. You know.
But you know what really bothers me about you know, you watch hockey. I'll tell you one thing about hockey. Last night, if you come in 5-6 minutes into the game, Edmonton scores 1-0. That could be the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be the whole game. It could be
yeah.
a 1-0 game. So you can't miss something. If you like hockey, you have to watch it from the drop of the puck to the end of the game. And basketball, which is a game I always loved, except 120 to 106,
Right.
everybody's scoring.
Well, you know,
now
but
instead of 3 points, it's 4 points.
They're in bursts that those points come. And
know.
that's when it's exciting. I think. You know,
I
as
find it
it
less.
was in Denver at the end of this road trip for the Celtics. Celtics come off a really bad loss on the road at Oklahoma City, and what many were saying was I guess a primer to NBA Finals, potential NBA Finals matchup with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Celtics took a 13-point loss in that game. You know, Oklahoma City Thunder's young, they're talented, they got a lot of great players, including Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Then they run out to Denver. Joe Mazzulla puts them through a hard workout. They do a good skull session, and you know what? They came out and they were clinical in their vivisection of the Denver Nuggets. Granted, Denver Nuggets didn't have Nikola Jokic, their big MVP center, but
I'll tell
still,
you what the Celtics, though, have done
yeah,
is given you a hint that they could lose some games.
right.
You know, you've watched this stretch there where they lost 3 out of 4, whatever it was. So with good teams, now look at that and say, you know what, if we play hard and we have everybody available,
Right.
we got a shot. You know, it's not like this is, foregone
And if they
conclusion
don't, if
got
they're
one.
missing a piece, the Celtics will hone in on that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked a little about Butler, and I read
Yeah.
the other day that Jaylen Brown going to
No,
them and Butler,
no,
that would never happen. I don't think it would ever happen, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you know, he's a max contract guy, and you already have one in Jason Tatum. But you know, there was a great play in that game against the Nuggets. It was a 2-on-1, and it was Jaylen Brown leading the break, and Jaylen Brown was looking over, and he drew the defense to him, and then he went and he just handed it off to Jason Tatum for an easy dunk. And I'm saying to myself, who can defend that in this league? Nobody.
You know, it's a funny thing. I look at those two players, Jason and
Jaylen. Yeah, they've been through the
Jaylen, and
worst
I'll tell you
together.
this: Jaylen's got an attitude,
Love it. Yeah.
which is different from Jason Tatum is a player for sure.
Well,
but he
he's-
doesn't have the same attitude. The other kid's got an attitude.
He brings
He
it.
almost looks like if you aggravated him, he'll kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a different
Wasn't that
type
like
player.
Marcus Smart too? You know.
Oh, you and Marcus Smart.
No, but I'll tell you though.
You don't even hear about him anymore, though.
Oh, you don't, Al. You know, it's like he's become like Elias Lindholm. Oh, I tell you though, I do love watching them, and they.
No, they're
Here's what
easy
they
to
do,
watch.
Al. Here's what they do. They engage you.
Yeah.
They keep you, riveted from opening tap to the end of the final buzzer. And that's what good teams do.
On top of that, though, they got a kid like Peyton Pritchard who could be a
Oh,
starter on any
any
team. But they
You
have
know,
the
they got
pieces.
Luke Cornett.
Yeah.
They got Sam Hauser.
Yeah, they got
You know,
pieces that
They
fit.
got Neemi's Keita. That kid, you know, he played a tremendous game against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming in and they're playing in bursts, and they're giving this team a lift. So there's a lot. And they were without Derek White last night. So you could say, oh, well, the Nuggets fans could say, well, we didn't have Jokic. Well, Celtics fans could say, well, we didn't have Derek White out there, man. You know, imagine how much worse it could have been for you if we had Derek White, you know.
It's funny. I watch the games, and I've been watching them since the 50s.
Right.
The 3-point shot, I understand it, has ruined the game for me.
I don't. Well,
I mean,
it's
that's not-
added
I mean,
more.
it's
to me,
not-
it's done what it's supposed to do. It's added more excitement.
I don't
it really
think it's
has.
added more excitement at all.
It really has. I mean,
All
would
it
Steph
does
Curry
is
be
you
who
could
he
be-
is without that shot?
All that it does is if you're down by 20, it doesn't matter because you hit 7 threes and you're winning by 1.
Well, you still got to defend it. You know.
Defense is the name of the game.
In our last minute here, Al, I want to talk to you about the college football playoff. Texas survived an unbelievable game against Arizona State.
Yeah.
Let me give my props to this kid, Cam Scatteraboo, who wound up being the Peach Bowl MVP, which I had no qualms with. The kid left it all out on the field, man. I mean, he did it all. At the beginning of the game, I was very skeptical. I said, this guy can't be a pro. You know, by the end of the game, I'm saying, this guy's a pro. This guy's going to be a pro, and whoever passes on him is stupid, you know, because this guy does it all. But now Texas will play against Ohio State.
Which they'll lose.
Down in the Cotton Bowl. No, not in the Cotton Bowl, Al. And then Penn State will be playing Notre Dame.
All right, we got a coffee on that one. I'm
right.
taking Ohio State.
You're taking Ohio State, I'm taking Texas. What about Notre Dame? Notre Dame, Penn State.
That's a tougher one for me. I think I'll take Notre Dame.
I'll take Penn State. All right, there it is. We got our bets in.
So that's coffee and sugar and cream.
And a donut. All right. All righty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Stepping Up to the Plate. So glad to see you again. Happy New Year to everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next time. All righty, take care.